Welcome to Daily Dose Radio, a 5-minute devotional podcast studying the Psalms verse by verse. Broadcast from the ever-beautiful Sharonville, Ohio, on the sunny side of Cincinnati. Hey, welcome back to Daily Dose Radio. This is your fair trade Bible study that is environmentally and socially sustainable. And I hope you're going to have a great week. Just come back every day, 5 minutes a day. That's all we ask here at Daily Dose Radio. This week, I hope you'll join me as I teach from Psalm 128, today verse 1. But we're going to look at the whole psalm this week. It's only 6 verses, and it's a part of this package of psalms in the booklet of Ascents. So the Psalm of Ascents, this is another song for those ascending. And this is an interesting psalm. We have what Weiser calls here in verse 1 a beatitude. He takes that because it begins with a blessed. And we've seen that word so many times in the Psalter, and it comes over into the New Testament in the Beatitudes on the Mount of Olives that Jesus gave. So we understand blessed, and we have it, of course, we begin with blessed is the man in Psalm 1 verse 1. So here we have another beatitude, as Weiser calls it, or a blessed statement. Let me read it for you. This is my translation. Blessed are all those who fear the Lord, who walk in his ways. Now the rabbis said of this that this blessedness was twofold, and it comprised 2 companies. The first company were those who avoided the negative precepts in the law, the things that they were not supposed to do. The second company was comprised of those who did the positive. They went after the positive precepts of the law, telling them what to do. In that way, they not only avoided evil, but they were active in their faith. And you remember what the New Testament teaches us about faith. Without faith, it is impossible to please Him. So we come to following the Lord in faith, and we do it in an active way. So blessed are all those who fear the Lord, those who walk in His ways. And actually, I would say that we don't have 2 groups here, but we have one individual who is walking in the fear of the Lord, who is observing both the negative and the positive precepts of holiness, and is following with all their heart. So fearing the Lord, of course, remember what the Proverbs tells us. Fearing the Lord is the beginning of wisdom, the beginning of knowledge. It's the beginning of understanding. So to fear the Lord is the beginning. It's the first step. And there's a blessing there for those who fear the Lord and those who walk in His ways. So you take the next step, which is not just to fear, but then to be active in doing. So you're actively participating in this faith journey that He's called us to. John Mason Neal makes a point here about that word all. Blessed are all those who fear. That means everybody here. You know, this is all inclusive. It's just not one group. It's just not one socioeconomic class. It's just not one person who is a certain type or a certain individual, lives in a certain place in a certain time with a certain financial goal. This is everybody, from the lowest strata to the highest strata of society. There is a blessing for everyone who lives following the Lord. All those who fear Him, that's the first step. All those who walk in His ways. And remember, His paths, they drop down fatness. This is the blessing, to follow Him in His ways, to run in His paths. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the greatest blessing that any man or woman could ever have. So blessed are all those, not just a few, but everyone who decides, everyone who comes. There's a blessing waiting for you, and it's coming from the Lord. We're going to find out what it is in the subsequent verses, and we're going to see that this word blessed or bless or blessing is going to predominate in this particular psalm. We have it in this verse, in verse 2, we have it in verse 4, and we have it in verse 5. So it's all over the place. We're going to see what this blessing is all about. I hope you'll join me tomorrow as we look further into Psalm 128 on Daily Dose Radio. Thanks for listening to Daily Dose Radio. I'm David Smith. The music today has been performed by the Bluegrass Experiment. Thanks again for listening. I'll see you next time on Daily Dose Radio.